Hey guys, it's Shy with the Shy Daily Book Channel. I know, I've been gone forever, it seems, but I'm back, we're at it again, and I should be back on schedule to put out, I want to say at least 2 to 3 videos a week. Hopefully I can do more, just kind of got busy doing life stuff and got distracted, but we're back. And we are back with one of, by far, the series just imprinted in my head so well. Mistborn, Era 1, Book 2, we have the Well of Ascension. And obviously, without further ado or anything else, this is going to be a spoiler-filled book. So if you want a review of the Mistborn series or kind of like, should I get into it, go watch the first video. But just a quick little thing, it's dystopian time. You have classic medieval story. You have the big, bad, evil king. And you're kind of following the rebellion as it goes in book 1 and kind of the aftermath of the rebellions. So, and we are now into spoilers. So this was a very, very cool book because in most series, when you have the evil king trope, which is a trope and it's been done many, many times, whether you can argue Sauron from Lord of the Rings, you can put in Galbatorix from Aragon, hundreds of others. Typically, the story ends when you defeat the Lord Ruler of the story, or the evil king, or the Dark Lord, or whatever. But this is actually really cool because you actually see what happens after the Dark Lord leaves. And this is a very political book. There's a lot of politics involved, and I know a lot of people aren't a big fan of it. I personally nerd out a lot about this. I love this kind of political struggle and political battles and the fights that are not fought with a sword and a shield. They're fought with the mind and words. And it's a very, very unique story because when you have the absence of a dictator-level ruler that is ruling with an iron fist, a vacuum's created. Now, you take it even a step farther when you have someone who's also a religious leader. So you're leaving a huge vacuum, and that's kind of what happens in this story is where it gets picked up. Because the Lord Ruler's not there anymore, stuff's kind of falling apart just because nobody was ruling. It was just him. He controlled everything. Nothing got kind of past him. And there was always this echo in the background like, all right, the Lord Ruler's also doing something, obviously, because all of a sudden the mists are starting to show up. Everything's kind of going haywire. And when it comes to ruling, obviously, the main characters are not really, Vin is not really like a ruler. She's still a teenager. She doesn't know what she's doing. And it's a very interesting story because Elend is obviously the one taking charge. He's kind of becoming the emperor here, quote unquote. But his reluctance, specifically at the beginning, to just take power. He's like, no, democracy. Like, people should have a say. And all these, like, ideals are cute, obviously. Like, it's like, okay, he's trying. He's really trying. He's trying to do the right thing, quote unquote. But it's not working. And this story's kind of put into multiple little pieces, where you have Vin and her journey pretty much through the story of like self-discovery almost, growing up, self-doubt, and dealing with a lot of, I don't want to say mental illness, but it's like thoughts of inadequacy would be the best way to phrase it, which is just classic growing up experiences, I would say. You have that story, Vin herself, which Zane kind of comes into very aggressively. You have Elend's journey with, I'm going to pronounce her name wrongly, but Tindwyl, Sazed's love interest. And you have that arc, which is great. You have the whole city, and at the background, you have the Well of Ascension. So we'll kind of tackle it one at a time, and we'll start with Vin. And Vin has a few things. One is her experience with the wolf is what I liked. He's just the wolf in my mind. And it's really, really interesting because the whole story, you're kind of like, okay, somebody did this. Someone's the disguise. Is Orsur? So Orsur is there, but you never think it's Orsur. That was a huge mindfuck. I did not expect that. I did not see that at all. That was not, I was expecting it to be, even I was like, part of me was like, it says it. It was like my instinct at the beginning, but I was way off. And the growing relationship that Vin has with Orsur, very, very good. I enjoyed that. Was a unique bonding experience. It kind of shows you a lot of like character from Vin. And Vin is thrust into this very, very weird situation where she's dealing with a romantic relationship, her first romantic relationship as a teenager. She's dealing with becoming like this prophet almost of like a religious figure, which is great, I guess. And then it's also like the fear of losing everything she has. And so the situation with Zane is actually really interesting because Zane's master manipulator, by the way. Phenomenal. The way he slowly wears her down, it's phenomenal. Fantastic. And it gives Vince kind of like the experiences that she was having with Kelsier in a way. And it was very interesting, the little balance almost between her adjusting Zane and Ellen. And then you obviously find out, oh, Zane's the brother, which is kind of classic love triangle scenarios. The best part is Ellen has no clue. Ellen has no idea what's going on. And Vin almost leaves. Like, there's a moment where she's like, yep, I'm out. I'm going to go with Zane. It's over. And it's like, come on, dude. Relax. It's fine. But you get it. As, like, someone who was a teenager and had teenage emotions and had love interests as a teenager, you can really easily understand, like, yeah, you do a lot of stupid stuff. The logic circuits in the brain just don't exist when it comes to being a teenager. And that kind of has to be put into frame with the story. And it's a very good growing up experience. Brandon Sanderson does this very, very well. And there's a few notes about Sanderson that I wanted to make here, is that his ability to show people and main characters who just have so much mental turmoil going on is phenomenal. It's literally a class act. Most main characters, if you think about, like, in classic stories, they don't have that many, like, interesting qualities about them. They don't really have that much that actually makes them, I want to say human, but, like, if you think of, like, Harry Potter, like, Harry Potter's kind of boring. Like, Jon Snow, it's not, like, not interesting. He's just kind of there. He's just kind of, yep, I'm the good guy because I've been told to be the good guy. That's my purpose in life. But you have characters like Vin who are just like, they do it out of like almost not wanting to be alone or a fear of abandonment. And it's such a real thing. Or when we do the Stormlight Archives, which I'm very excited about getting into the Stormlight Archives, you have Kaladin and you have Dalinar. They're just like these absolutely broken characters, and he does broken people so well. So well done to Sanderson on that. And then the other thing about Sanderson that I really enjoy is that you have the whole story, the main story that's in the background, that's always rolling. But he creates these little minor plots in between and interweaves them so beautifully that they're all obviously connected to the main story. But it keeps you going. It keeps you moving. So you had like the plot of like Ellen becoming like a ruler. And that's the whole problem. He wasn't willing to just take control and be the guy and silence people. And Tinwell is fantastic because she's like teaching him how to do this and how to become a king, really. And on the flip side, you have Straff Venture on the other side, who's the obvious candidate for everybody. He's like, even you as the reader, you're like, well, this guy knows it. He's more or less a Lord Ruler, which he's a despicable person, horrible. Some of the stuff he does, some of the slave labor stuff he does, it's just horrible, horrible person. Obvious kind of like, this guy is bad. That was all my imagery of like, this was like a cartoon drawing of Straff. He's like, this is the bad guy. Don't let him win. So it's a very unique situation where you can't really blame the people of the city because they're like, we just don't want to die. We just don't want to starve. We want someone who can take command and rule, and changing the status quo becomes, this is very difficult. This is where the politics of it comes in. It becomes very, very difficult because people are so used to the situations they had, they're kind of accustomed to it. And they'd rather go what is familiar. The fear of the familiar is always less than the fear of the unknown. And that's kind of the balance here, which is what leads to eventually the climax of the story, where you have the well, you have the whole interest of going down there with Vin and Elend, with her making the choice, which it's kind of like, all right, what was the right choice? With Elend dying, which was very heartbreaking as well. It was like the moment that was just like, oh, it hits you when Vin, when that experience happens for them. But I thought it was handled very, very well. Elend coming back, you can't have Elend die, obviously. Like, they had to live. It was fine. And now he's also has the powers. He also is a Mistborn, and it's really interesting now. Like, okay, you have this place. What was the Lord Ruler up to all this time? What is going on? And we kind of get into that in the final book. Obviously, we had a lot of people who died as well in this story. You had the whole experience with the city, and it's an interesting situation. It's a very interesting situation. So you have a lot of cool things, and the climax of the story is phenomenal. I have read the final book, and I'm very excited to get into that as well. But this kind of wraps up the Well of Ascension and kind of the experiences there. I know I missed a lot of stuff. Let me know what your favorite parts were. My favorite part was by far, I love politics. So I love the little like political stuff. And I just, in the back of my head, I was like, he's not going to win. He's obviously not going to win. Like, even though like the setup was like, he's going to win. He's going to win. Oh, he didn't win. Loved all that. And I actually thought Zane was fantastic. Zane was such a good character for Vin's development and her understanding of what I want in life. And I think that was really, really good. So that ends and concludes this review. Moving forward, the reviews are going to be a lot more fresh and a lot more mapped out. Obviously, I read this book a few months ago, so I'm a little bit behind, but we're going to get to it, and we're going to have a lot more reviews coming up. I believe the next one will be, I am almost done with the Dark Tower series, so I'm going to do a full review on that. We're going to finish up the Age of Madness trilogy. Oh, such a good series. And we're also going to do some Harry Potter work as well. So, very excited. Thank you guys so much for watching. It means the world to me. If you guys have any questions or there was other stuff about the book that I missed or stuff that you guys liked, let me know in the comments, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye.